Hipólito Mora, in his days battling the brutal Knights Templar cartel as a leader of a vigilante farmers movement which took over swathes of Michoacan, southwest Mexico. He rose to prominence with his trademark sombrero and high-powered assault rifle. Nowadays, the hat remains, but the gun has gone. Mora has found a new job as a candidate for Congress in Mexico's upcoming elections. He doesn't think much of the politicians he says abandoned the state to criminals.
They're a bunch of crooks who lie to everyone.
But he sees himself as an outsider, infiltrating the authorities who only recently locked him up in jail after a shootout in which his son and 10 others died.
I've talked to vigilante groups and said to them that we need to attack from both sides. We need to get into the politicians' circle as well, and that might make it easier to get what we want.
With the farmers' uprising petering out, Mora and other leaders see now as the moment to move to politics. The vigilante movement that exploded in Michoacan has gradually been absorbed by the authorities into a new entity that they've called the Rural Police Force, complete with uniforms, vehicles and salaries. But the problems that provoked the vigilantes still remain: crime, murder and a sense of government neglect. Dr. Virginia Morales is planning to swap the consulting room for a congressional run. She's close to the vigilante movement. Her brother was one of the leaders until he was put in jail. She says she's continuing her brother's struggle by challenging the government in its own arena.
I want what we lived through, the bloodshed, the widows and orphans with no income because their relatives were imprisoned, to act as a base for change and to help us to decide what we want for ourselves, not through killing or armed uprising, but through reasoning, work and mutual help.
The killing has continued throughout the elections, and vigilantes turned candidates have proved targets for local gangs. Only last month one was shot dead. And in the morning of our interview, Mora abruptly called off a campaign stop in a nearby town after being warned of a planned ambush. Instead, he used the time to greet supporters in his home village, who implored him to keep his word and not end up like the politicians he says that he's fighting against. John Holman, Al Jazeera, La Ruana, Michoacan.